Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
We are from the 5th group, and in this video, we would like to present the result of our mini research as a part of the assignment for computer application in ELT course. And the title of our research is Using Movie, an Effective Medium of Teaching Vocabulary in FL Classroom. But before we continue our explanation in this video, I would like to introduce a member of my group first. My name is Mila, and I'm here as supposed to be moderator and a presenter, and there are my friends.
I am Akananda Putri as a presenter.
My name is Yasmina Mira as presentator.
There are totally 6 topics that we are going to explain in this video. The first one is the introduction of the research. The second is the purpose of the research and the research hypothesis. The third is population and sample. The fourth is data collection technique. The fifth is research design and procedures. And the last one is the results of the research and the conclusions. Well, without any further ado, let's find out the introductions of the research in the next video.
And I would like to explain about the introduction, the purpose, and then the hypothesis of this research. The first one, I would like to explain about the introduction. The introduction said that vocabulary is one of English component that is needed to be mastered by students. Students should have enough vocabularies in order to make use of their foreign language skill. There are listening, reading, and then speaking and writing. If learners don't have enough vocabulary, they will be difficult to express their feelings, ideas, and opinions through English. So mastering vocabulary is very important for the learners. That's why the teacher have to choose the best way and the great medium to teach vocabulary to make students easily to mastering vocabulary. And then there's also purpose of this research. The purpose of this research consists of 2 purposes. The first one is to find out the improvement of student vocabulary mastery after they being taught through movie as the media of instruction. And then the second one is to find out student difficulties with respect to the implementation of the movie. And then there is also a hypothesis of this research. The hypothesis of this research consists of 2 hypotheses. The first one is alternative hypothesis, and then the second one is null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis said that there is significant improvement of the first grade students' achievement in learning vocabulary after being taught by using movie at SMPN 2 Batu Jaya. And then there is also null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is the opposite from the alternative hypothesis. If the alternative hypothesis said that there is significant improvement, then the null hypothesis said that there is no significant improvement of the first grade students' achievement in learning vocabulary after being taught by using movie at SMPN 2 Batu Jaya. Thank you.
Population and sample. Well, before I inform you the population and sample of the research, I would like to explain a little bit about population and sample, and this is gonna be a simple one. So the definition of population is a whole group that have at least one similar characteristic. For example, a group of ant, or a group of students of 1st grade, a group of students of 2nd grades, a group of elementary students in the 1st year, and so on. That's a population. While the sample is a small group that's selected from the populations. So if we have a first year of elementary school students, the whole students of first year in elementary school, we can take like 10 students from that first year as our sample. Does that even make sense? Well, in this research, we have the first grade students of SMPN Negeri 2 Batu Jaya in academic year 2019 and 2020. And there are actually 8 classes of first grade students in SMPN Negeri Batu Jaya. And each classes consist of 23 until 27 students. So this is our populations. And our sample is one class of the first grade of SMPN Negeri 2 Batu Jaya. So we have 8 classes as our populations, and we took 1 classes as our sample. This is easy, right? And that 1 classes specifically is the 7G class, which consists of 24 students, specifically 13 females and 11 males. 11 males, amen. Sorry. So the next is the data collection technique of the research. The data collection techniques, it means the way that we want to collect our data for the research. So actually there are 4 techniques that we used to collect the data in this research. The first is tryout, the second is pretest, the third is post-test, and the fourth is interview. The first is tryout. What is this? So the tryout is aims to find out whether our test, our questions for the pretest and post-test is valid or not, is reliable or not. So in this, there are no connection with the students. We're just trying to find out whether our questions is good enough to be used for our pretest and post-test or not. And obviously, this tryout is administered before the pretest is done. And the second is the pretest. The pretest is a test that is used to know the student's vocabulary mastery. So obviously, this pretest is done before the treatment. Before we give our treatment using movie to the students, we try to find out students' ability, students' knowledge about vocabulary, like how far or how low, and so on. And the third is the post-test. The post-test is a test that is conducted after the treatment. So we have the first we have a pre-test. So we have to find out the students' capability and vocabulary, students' vocabulary mastery, and then we teach them using movie. And then we have the post-test to check whether our treatment is work for them or not, whether our treatment give the impact for them or not. So we're trying to find out the effectiveness of using movie to teach the students by using this post-test. And the last one is the interview. An interview conducted after the post-test. So in this interview, we would like to find out the difficulty that students face during the learning activities. So whether the students have difficult watching the movie or understand the native speakers' pronunciations, or they didn't catch the word or so on. So yeah, the data collections we have 4, and the interview was the last one. So the next topic is research procedures. What is research procedures? Well, a research procedures is a procedures or a sequence of steps that we do to conduct the research. Since the very beginning thing that we do, when we determine the population and sample until the last thing, until we get the data and analyze them and get the results. So that is research procedures. Well, in this research, we have at least 8 steps to do to conduct the research. The first one is we determine the population and sample. So this research is a pre-experimental research. So this research is not true experimental research. In true experimental research, we have to use the random sampling technique in order to choose the population and sample. But because true experimental is like a true experimental research, it's important. Well, we just pre-experimental, which is the simple one, and we in this research we can choose the sample and the populations that we want. But of course there is considerations in choosing that. We don't like choosing them randomly, right? But we choose because there is considerations. So as I said before, that in this research we have first grade students of SMP and 2 Batu Jaya as our populations, and there are 8 classes, all of it like as our populations, and we took one of the classes as our sample as a consideration that the teacher said the students of the class that we choose as a sample is the students that have lower skills in vocabulary. That's why we choose the sample from all populations. So that's the first step. And that is the second step, which is selecting the instrument materials. So in this step, we try to search the materials that we're going to give them in the treatment. And also we choose the movie, because we know that we're gonna make them watch a movie in this treatment, in this learning activity, but we're not gonna give them a random movie, right? We're gonna give them an appropriate movie, a suitable one, and we're gonna match it with our materials. And we also are gonna take the materials from the book, the student's book, the junior high school books from the government. And in this step, we also make a lesson plan for the treatment. And also in this research, the very important thing is we're gonna make the instruments of the research, the collecting data, the test. We're gonna make the test. So we're gonna prepare the questions for the pre-test and the post-test in these steps. And the third steps is trying out the instrumental. So in this trying out, we try to prove that the questions that we met for pre-test and post-test is valid and reliable. So we test the questions, and if it is proven that this questions is valid and reliable, we're gonna do the fourth steps, which is administering the pre-test. So it's obvious, like we administer the pre-test to find out the students' vocabulary mastery, like to find out like how much students know about vocabulary. So we do this pre-test to find out students' vocabulary mastery before we teach them using movie. And then after that, we do the treatment. This is the fifth steps, giving the treatment for the students. So in the steps, obviously we're gonna teach them about vocabulary, and we're gonna teach them about vocabulary using the movie that we choose. In this research, we have 3 meetings. It means we have 3 treatments, and in each treatment we make them watching a movie and we make them learning vocabulary from that movie. Well, especially in this research, we use a movie to make them master a vocabulary about nouns, verbs, and adverbs and adjectives, which is the content words. And the 6th step is conducting the post-test. So of course, after we give them the treatment in 3 meetings, we give them the materials, we give them the techniques, we give them a learning activities using movie as our media. And we want to find out whether the technique is usable or not, whether there is any improvement in students mastering vocabulary or not. And we use this post-test to find out about that. And the seventh is conducting the interview, which is as my friends mentioned before, that in this research we'll have two aims. The first one is to find out whether using movie is effective to improve students' vocabulary mastery or not. And the second aims is to find out the student difficulties while they're learning vocabulary using movie. So this interview is conducted to find out students' difficulty when they're learning vocabulary using movie, like whether they have difficulties in listening to like the native speakers' voices, or to hear the pronunciations, or to understand the words and anything. So this is we conducting the interview. And the last one is after we collecting the data from the pre-test, from the post-test, and from the interview, we do the last thing, which is analyzing the data. And in the steps, we're gonna analyze the data, which is the pre-test and post-test, using an applications, a computer application software, which is SPSS 16 for Windows. And in this program, we're gonna put the result of the test, and we're gonna calculate it, and the result will be automatically showed. So we got the result. And for the interview, we're gonna analyze each answer of the students, and we're gonna conclude it, their difficulties, all of them difficulties in learning vocabularies. So that is all the steps of the research. So the last topic that will be delivered by me in this video is research design. So what is research design? Research design is like a design that we're going to use for the research. Design is like a particular procedures that we have to use, that we have to follow in conducting a particular research. So as we know that there are two kinds of approach in research. The first one in qualitative approach, and the second one is quantitative approach. Well, in qualitative approach, we have that narrative inquiry design, we have case study design, and we have like ethnography design. Well, in quantitative approach, we have like experimental design, correlational design, pre-experimental, quasi-experimental, and so on. And in this research, we use a pre-experimental design. Why? Because this is a simple one and is so suitable for someone who wants to conduct a new research, and for new researchers, which is we are new researchers. That's why we choose this pre-experimental design. So it's like an experimental result. It's used to prove. It's like to use to prove whether a technique or a method or approach is useful or not to be used in learning activities. And especially in this research, we use a one group pre-test, post-test design. So it's like we're gonna choose one class, like I have said before, we choose one class from the first grade. We're gonna divide this into two groups. The first one is experimental and the second one is control group. We're gonna give them a treatment, different treatment. Like the experimental, we're gonna give them a treatment with this movie technique, and the control group, we're gonna give them a treatment too with the same materials but with different techniques, especially role play. And then after that, we're gonna give them a post-test. First, we're gonna give them a pre-test, and we give them treatment, and give them post-test, and we get the result. And then we get the result to compare whether this movie technique is useful or not, is effective or not. That's it. And of course, this research is one of quantitative research design. That's it.
I'm going to tell you two parts. First one is discussion of the result, and then conclusion. So the first one, I'm going to tell you about discussion of the result. So, do you know we have a question? Of course, because this is research, so we have to have a question. So, the first question is, do watching movie increase students' vocabulary mastery? And after we count it, after we do the research, we get that there was a statistically significant improvement of from the students' mean score between the pre-test and the post-test, with a significant level is p less than 0.005, so like that. So you can see it. So yeah. So watching movie, it helps student to get the vocabulary mastery, and especially in the adjective part of speech. One of the part of speech for classes, one of the vocabulary adjective. Yeah. By watching movie, students gain that improve their vocabulary in adjective. And about the second question, what is the difficulties that students get from after watching movie to make them improve their vocabulary mastery? So yeah, students get it difficult after we doing the research. Yeah, students get it difficult to make clear. I mean to know the words and the phrase, because the native speaker, which we know, watching movie is, for example, Western movie and Hollywood movie, and Hollywood movie, and the player, the actor is just come from there, and sometimes we got confused of their pronunciation and their speed rate. Sometimes they speak so fast, so we didn't get it. So it's so hard to know the word and the phrase that exactly the native speaker say it. So that's the result of our research. And then the last one, the conclusion. What is the conclusion is, so we can say teaching vocabulary mastery, teaching to improve their students' vocabulary mastery, can use movie. It is appropriate and it is effective to them to increase their vocabulary mastery, so you can use it.
So that's all from us. That's all our explanations about the result of our mini research entitled Using Movie, an Effective Medium of Teaching Vocabulary in FL Classroom. We are so sorry if there is any mistakes that we have spoken or any gestures or anything. We're so sorry for that.
Thank you. That's all from us.
And thank you so much for watching.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.